proud to welcome in an Emmy winner, a Tony winner, and a fellow late-night television host, although far more decorated than I. It's James Corden. I trust you and yours as well. You doing all right?
Well, we're doing okay. I'm in my garage right now. This is where we're taping my show every night. So this is where I'm talking to you from. Yeah, how are you?
We're well. I mean, we're in the same boat largely, although we're still in our studio. And I was gonna start with that. As you sit in a garage, which is well outfitted, I mean, we're making do with what we've got. What's it been like for you to try to soldier on, so to speak?
Well, look, of course it's strange, but then at the same time, I think the truth is that, I don't know if you feel this, I know I do, I just feel beyond grateful to have a job.
Without a doubt.
And like our team are employed and people are employed, and look, we can't make the show that we used to make, that we normally make. Our show is normally full of, scale and big stuff and things like that. But actually, we found a new way to figure it out, and it's really rather fun. We're having a really nice time making a show which is a completely different animal to what we were doing normally,
Without a doubt. And congrats on 5 years. I know it would have been better to have that scale that you speak of and have this grand celebration, which will come down the road. But I'm really sincerely curious if you found what I found, because I do a show about sports. And in the absence of them, I'm doing far more of this, which you do quite a bit of, and that's talking to people. But we're not doing sort of the proper interview where we're face-to-face in the studio, and it's very different, and we dial folks up on the phone, and it's trying to sort out the technology. And I'm curious if you found that while we're not together, in a way, I feel like we've almost found the humanity and the shared experience. I almost feel closer to people. I wonder if you've experienced or felt that.
It's funny you say that, Scott, because in truth, I think there's something very interesting about talking to people in their own home environment.
Exactly.
So they are more relaxed. So like on tonight's show, we do have a really long chat with Chris Paul, and he talks a lot about. He talks very openly and candidly about how he feels about going back and playing, calls that he's had with the commissioners of the league and players that he's talked to. And I don't know if he traveled an hour to our studio, had hair and makeup, and there was 200 people watching in the studio, whether he would have been A, as candid, or B, whether that's a conversation we could have had about safety measures and things like that. So in many ways, it isn't what we're used to, but that doesn't mean that it's worse in every respect. You've got to look for the positives in everything, really.
Sure. Let's have a candid, honest conversation right now. Have you pulled up my Wikipedia page because you've no idea who you're talking to? That's what you've done. You have no idea. You have no idea who you're talking to.
No, you said this here. No, I can tell you what it is. These are because this is guests on our show Game On that we're going to talk about. So someone has just sent me this to make sure I don't mess up. Like what day it's on a network and stuff, because that would be a crime. So that's what that is.
Understood. I just wanted to make sure. I didn't know. We had to find out because, listen, you're a gigantic star, and I'm just a humble cable television host here.
I disagree. I think you couldn't be more wrong. I think you know this. The ESPN right now is the single most talked about network in the world. Because of Michael Jordan. Because of that documentary is the single greatest thing I've ever watched in my life, and I didn't even grow up watching basketball. It is extraordinary. It's made me fall in love with being in America. If that doesn't sound too big.
What is appealing about the American version of Michael Jordan? What is it, James?
Well, because when I was at school, Jordan essentially, of course, you knew he was the greatest or one of the greatest players of all time. But what you knew was, I really knew about him because of the sneakers and the shoes and the clothes. Because NBA basketball isn't on television in the UK. It's not. Do you know what I mean? It has its fans, but it's not something you're really ever going to find.
Right.
And so I only really started going to basketball or watching basketball since I was here. And if I'm honest, for about a year, I used to watch it and go, why don't they just play for 2 minutes? Because it's like they score, you score. Then in the last 2 minutes, it's like, who's going to win?
Right.
Whereas now, I have such an appreciation for the whole game.
Right.
I think the players in it are just the athleticism that you're watching is unheard of. I think the tension of it is great. And then watching The Last Dance has just made me completely fall in love with everything. I mean, when you start hearing stories of Michael Jordan going to Vegas to get Dennis Rodman to come back to play, you're like, okay, this is the sport I'm into.
You started this idea, the Shirts Off shootout, and tell folks about the conceit and what it is that you've managed to accomplish.
Well, our entire show is made up of massive sport fans. We have a lot of football fans. We have a huge amount of soccer fans, like I am. We have a lot of basketball fans. So we launched this thing called the Shirt Off Shootout Challenge, where we thought basketball players aren't playing basketball, but they want to be. So I sent a video to basketball players of me wearing as many clothes as I could. And in 45 seconds, you've got to score as many baskets into your laundry basket from 10 feet. So I sent this out, and then Steph Curry came back with a video. I scored 3, and I didn't know if I'd done well or bad. Then Steph Curry scored 4, and I was like, oh.
Yeah. Exactly,
Well,
it wasn't bad at all. Look,
I'm sure drafted for the Warriors.
Right, well, you're
at some point.
You're 10 paces away. It's, I mean, and you're balling up the shirt. I mean, you got to get the weight of it. It's a hard thing to figure out.
I can show you this. We've got our board here. So look, Steph Curry 4, and then it went crazy. Then Dwayne Wade saw Steph's video. He scored 7. Then Lisa Leslie saw that and scored 9. JaVale McGee scored 9. And then Boban has scored 10. Which I think he should lose a point, because if you're that tall, all he has to do is bend over and he's halfway to the basket anyway, you know?
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.